the federal government for these perpetrated events that don't make any sense. And we all have ample proof that these events that have occurred have been faked.
So you're talking, I would imagine the big three would be 9/11, Sandy Hook, the Boston bombing. Is that what you mean by the big three? Are there more?
Yeah, no, those are the big three that we're
Okay.
exposing. 9/11 Truth Movement has been active for quite some time. I think Sandy Hook is now a lot of new evidence is coming to light, so we can utilize that. And the Boston bombing that I had exposed several months back, actually back in April of this year, and I know several people that were involved in that because of my current film that I just released, The Prosecution of an American President. And one of the actors and parents in that film was involved in the Boston bombing.
And this is a film starring Vincent Bugliosi, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And is it released yet, or tell us more about that film?
Yeah, the film it was just released. It actually was blacklisted when it came out in theaters in 2012. We just released it on DVD, and it's starting to get a lot of attention. And Vincent Bugliosi essentially makes the case to build a murder case against the President of the United States at the time, George W. Bush,
Yeah.
for lying to Congress and taking us to war with a sovereign nation. And all of these facts now are evident and have been proven. And he builds the case of why he should be responsible for the death of over 5,000 Americans that were killed in Iraq at the time. And, the 500,000 to 1 million people that have been killed in Iraq based on a war that we never needed to have.
Wow. Now I remember Bugliosi, he was on the Alex Jones show about a year ago, and he was talking about this. So he was talking about releasing this, and now you're the gentleman that produced it.
I am, one of the executive producers.
Okay.
There's several. But at this point, in fact, it's probably been more than a year ago he was on. He's been sick for almost 2 years. One of the reasons why we couldn't promote the film.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But he's back, and he's now ready to do a lot of interviews and to come out and expose this film to the world, and hopefully people will accept it and see that it needs to be done. We need to prosecute him for the damage he's done to this nation.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking it out. It's called Prosecution of an American President. Be sure to look for it, folks. And let's go back to the big three, exposing the big three. Tell me, let's say, the INFOWARS audience, we're all sold on the fact that Sandy Hook was probably an inside job. But let's take Sandy Hook, for example. Sell me on it. I'm the average TV head. What makes you convinced that Sandy Hook, that there was government involvement and that it could very well have been a false flag terror attack?
Well, Sandy Hook, I only have the knowledge from Wolfgang Halbig, who's someone who is a public safety inspector for public schools in the nation. I don't know I think you've had him on your show as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
And he came out about his knowledge because he knows certain protocols that are in place from other school shootings, and these protocols were not followed whatsoever in this shooting. Not to mention the school itself wasn't even an open working school at the time of the shooting. So all these facts have come to light now, and Wolfgang has come out to discuss this. And there's actually an article in Global Research by James Tracy that just came out and exposing the mental health agenda the government passed about a month after the shooting. And since this article came out and Wolfgang has been exposing it, he's been followed, he's been run off the road just the other day. And people do not want him to continue exposing the truth about Sandy Hook. And it's time that people wake up to what they're doing and how they're getting away with these false flag events and using crisis actors. I mean, I know what crisis actors are. I know several of them that were in the Boston bombing. I didn't know anyone in Sandy Hook. But I know that they use these actors over and over, and it's very obvious when you look at all the facts and all the facts are brought out in front of you, that this was a staged event by the U.S. government.
And Wolfgang Halbig, for example, I mean, he's not just your average Joe off the street. He was an expert witness during the Columbine tragedy. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought so. Yeah.
He is the main person to go to in finding out, why did this happen again? Why are these situations happening? He's the one who wrote the book on the protocols so these things don't happen. And so that's why he was so concerned when it happened. He had to find out what happened. And when he found out the truth, they didn't want it out. They didn't want the truth out because of what they had done. And so they're trying to keep him quiet, and they've done a pretty good job, but he's not going to stand for it. And that's why we want to expose the big three, starting with 9/11, which we have more than enough evidence, and Sandy Hook and the Boston bombing. These are events that not only have shaken the public, but have changed the world. And we cannot allow our government to do this any longer.
I also thought it was interesting to find out that you thought that you think that the Ebola outbreak could possibly be a staged event as well. Let's get into that a little bit. What makes you think Ebola might be staged?
I've grown up with a father at the CDC for the last 30 years, and I've made a documentary on emerging viruses, epidemics, and I have been a part of watching protocols put in place for viruses such as Ebola. And it's astounding to me to watch this play out and to watch people knowing that Ebola, being a very highly contracted disease, just the other day, someone walking around with a clipboard with no protective gear, that's not a mistake. And it's because it's part of a scene. There's certain things they don't have to do because they don't need to protect themselves if it's not a real virus. And it's hard for me to watch it because I see this, right off the bat. I know the protocols that are in place. Things that would never happen are happening. And just an example, the crisis actor Nina Pham, who is this nurse from Dallas, a week later, she's got Ebola. Following week after that, she's cured. And then she's in the White House hugging President Obama.
Total photo op.
It's so bad that if anyone knows Ebola and knows the protocols, even after the Ebola virus is cleared from the blood, you have to contain a patient for 6 weeks after that because it could be in other fluids in the body. And you would never, and I mean never, allow that patient out within more than 6 weeks after it's cleared the blood. Now, just the mere fact that she would go and hug the president in the White House, we should all be terrified that the entire White House is infected. But we know that it's not because it's a false flag Ebola outbreak.
Well, I think it's very important that the American public understands and are educated on the history of false flag terrorism. The United States has a long history of false flag terrorism. But you're taking it a step further by this class action lawsuit, and I have to applaud your effort. Is there a website or is there somewhere that people can go to get more educated on this?
Yes, actually, there's a Facebook page called Exposing the Big Three. And that's dedicated to showing all of the information that we can provide from all around the world on these three events. And also deepinsidetherabbithole.com is also a website that is able to expose a lot of this, and you'll be able to do your own research and see what we've come up with. But it will turn into another site that will be developed for the specifics of the lawsuit, the civil suit that we're going to do, class action.
Well, fantastic. More power to you, Nathan. Folks, thank you for joining us. keep us updated, because I sure would be interested to see how this class action lawsuit goes. So please keep us updated on that.
I will. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Wow, that was interesting. We'll definitely have to get him back on when we have more time. That's going to do it for tonight's broadcast. The INFOWARS Nightly News will return, Lord willing, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, Texas time, that is. Until then, y'all have a great evening. We'll see you back right here tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. Today I'd like to talk about the war on women. You've experienced and heard about the benefits of super male vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. Key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Each of these ingredients works synergistically with the female body in order to maximize overall vitality. You've heard the reviews and the feedback on how the original Super Male Vitality has revitalized relationships. Now, both the man and the woman can have the revitalization in their own bodies with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at InfoWarsLife.com.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. Members can share their passcodes with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.